الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين والصلاة والسلام على حبيبنا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى رب على محمد وآله الطاهرين صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to class 1 of book 4. So inshallah, this is the first class of book number 4. And inshallah, we'll try to aim to get to the complete book in this short time we have been given for this madrasa. I hope inshallah that you are all online and you can hear me clearly. I'm just waiting for the brother to put up the book, and inshallah then we can have more visual images. But in the meantime, we'll inshallah begin with the first page or two of book 4. As you know, the most important thing for us as Muslims are our aqaid. The most important thing for us as Muslims are our belief system. What we believe and why we believe in something. The most important thing we need to know as Muslims, young and old, is our belief system. Why we believe in something, what are the things that we believe in, how many things are we supposed to believe in as Muslims, and what their realities are. And the things that we believe in, we must also know what each and every one of them, what they mean. What, for example, they mean to us as Muslims, and how seriously we should take such beliefs. And so this is why the book begins the discussion with the usul ad-din and the furu ad-din. And the easy example that it gives to us is the branches of a tree and the roots of a tree. If you all imagine a tree, the tree has roots and the tree has branches. Roots go deep underground, and then you have the branches that extend out from the tree. Now, our belief systems are like the roots, and our branches are those actions that we are required to perform as Muslims. So remember a tree, imagine a tree, and any tree cannot survive without its roots. For example, if you have a tree that has strong roots, that tree will become bigger and healthy, and it will grow and it will give fruit. But if you have a tree with weak branches, or if you have, for example, a tree that has no roots, or the roots are weak or they're dying, then the tree itself will become weak. So this is the first discussion that we have in this book 4, and this is the tree of Islam. Remember this as a technical terminology, the tree of Islam. What is the tree of Islam? Asluha sabit wa far'uha fis sama. The tree of Islam is based of, just like any ordinary tree, roots and branches. The roots are usul ad-din and the branches are furu ad-din. Usul are the roots and the branches are the furu. This is the Arabic translation of the English. So don't let it confuse you. Just remember, usul ad-din are the roots, because this is the asl of the tree, and furu ad-din are the branches. Why? Because these are the branches that extend out from the tree. Now, imagine a tree. What is the most important part of a tree? The roots or the branches? The most important and the fundamental part of any, roots of any plant or any tree, a tree is the roots. If you cut the roots, the tree dies. In the same way, roots are the most important in the religion of Islam. Usul ad-din are more important than furu ad-din. Hence, we must really focus, think, and remind ourselves of our usul. Once we know our roots, then the branches become easier. But if we don't know our roots, if we don't know the branches, if we don't know what the fundamental, the basic of our religion is, then there is no point wasting time with the amal, with the deeds, doing this, doing that, staying away from this, staying from this. All comes from the roots. This all comes from the actual asl of the tree. So remember, the branches and the roots of a tree are both part of the tree, but the most important part of the tree of Islam are the roots. Hence, the most important part of the tree of Islam is the usul of deen. Usul ad-deen. Once we can learn, we can grasp, and we can remember and remind ourselves what usul ad-deen are, what our belief systems are, it is then easier to move on to the furu ad-deen. And as Muslims, it is wajib. As Muslims, it is very important for all of us, even young children or old, it doesn't matter about age, but it's very important for all of us to remember the usul of the deen. Okay, now when we move on to the, before we go to the branches, let's go to the roots of Islam. So now you have the tree. I'm not sure if you have the picture in front of you or not, but if you don't, just imagine this, because we're all good with imagining. So let's try to imagine. Imagine a tree, and then imagine the tree has roots. Now remind yourselves that the roots are more important than the branches. Now the tree of Islam has 5 roots. So this is the most important thing. Remember, the tree of Islam has 5 roots. The first root is Tawheed. The second root is Adala. The third root is Nabuwa, and then you have Imama, and then you have Qiyamah. These are the 5 usul ad-din: Tawheed, Adal, Nabuwat, Imamat, and Qiyamat. So this is our lesson for today. And inshallah, we can spend some time on the roots of the tree. So let's try to break down what the roots of the tree of Islam are. The first is Tawheed. Tawheed of Allah. That Allah is one. That we only have one God. This is the most important thing that we need to remember. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. We only have one Allah. We do not associate any partners. There are no 2 gods. There are not 3 gods. There are not 4 gods. There are not 5 gods. As Muslims, we believe only and only in one Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. We pray to only one Allah. We worship only to only one Allah. When we make dua to only one God. This is the fundamental part of Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Tawheed, there is only one true Lord. La ilaha illallah. One of the first things we learn as children is La ilaha illallah. That there is only one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something we need to put into our minds. We need to remind ourselves again and again and again. And one of the biggest sins that Allah dislikes in the Holy Quran is that I associate with Allah another God, or I say there are 2 gods, or for example, I say there are 3 gods or 4 gods. That's something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highly dislikes. So remember, the first root out of the 5 roots of the tree of Islam is Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's very important. Second root is Adala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fair. You see how we can be fair with one another, we can be unfair with one another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, He's fair, and He does not like unfair people. In the same way, we are reminded, we are told that we should behave fairly with other people. And this is, of course, something that we inshallah come to in akhlaq as well. Allah is just in the same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be just. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just, He wants us to be just. Allah is fair, Allah wants us to be fair. Allah the Almighty treats other people with fairness. This is the adala of Allah. And as Shia, as followers of Ahlul Bayt, we must remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is adil. He does not treat anyone unfairly. He does not punish anyone for no reason. Allah does not want to punish anyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, but Allah is just. If you do good, Allah will reward you and I. If I do bad, Allah will punish me for my bad acts. Hence, if I do bad, straight away, without wasting any time, without delay, I must ask for astaghfar. Ahsantum. So the first root is tawheed, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. The second root of tawheed is that the second root of the tree of Islam is adala of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is very important, because for us as Shias, this is something that we look. There's something very. I think the book is now available. Yes. So this is the picture I was. I hope everyone can see this now. If you can all see this tree, this is the tree of Islam. And if you look at the branches and if you look at the trees, if you cut the branches of that tree, the tree will still survive. In fact, the branches will regrow. The branches will come back. But if you cut the roots of that tree, the tree will finish. The tree will die. That's how you kill any plant. You remove the roots. Hence, the roots are the lifeline of that tree. And for us, our lifeline is the usul of the deen. So if you go to the next page, this clearly indicates that Islam, the tree of Islam, the tree of our deen is the following. And you can see clearly the 5 roots. Tawheed, Adl, Nabuwa, Imama, Qiyamah. These are our 5 roots of the tree of Islam. So we said Tawheed is the oneness of God. We said Adala is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just and fair. And then the third root, as you can see on the diagram, is Nabuwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent prophets. How many prophets has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to us? Can anyone think? How many prophets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to mankind from the beginning of time to the end of time? MashaAllah, 124,000 prophets have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide mankind. So remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is the job of Allah to guide us. How does Allah guide us? Does Allah come down to us? Does Allah come down to us in the form of a human being? No. Allah is not like us and we are not like Allah. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us 124 awliya Allah, anbiya Allah. He sent us prophets. And with the prophets, He sent us books. Quran, the Torah, the Injil, the Zabur, and the Furqan, the Holy Quran. So we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not come to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never come to us. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far greater than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not take the shape of a human being. And He sends to us 124,000 human prophets. Human prophets, but very great human beings. Perfect human beings. They do not make any mistakes. They do not sin. They do not make any gунah. They do not do anything which is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so He sent us 124,000 prophets. This is Nabuwa. Now moving on, we have the next, as you look at the diagram, we have now the next root, which is Imama. Imama, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the ending of the prophethood, with the last of our prophet, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, He then started the leadership. He then started Imama. So with the ending of Nabuwat, with the ending of Prophet with Rasulullah, guidance did not come to an end. Guidance continued inside Imama. Guidance continued with the Imams. Allah sent to us 12 Imams. And until today, our 12th Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, he is alive. And which means that if the Imams are alive, it means that Allah is still guiding us. How does Allah guide us? Through the prophets. How does Allah guide us? Through the imams. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that first He guides us through the prophets, and when prophets end, He then guides us through the imams. And finally, the final and the last root of the tree of Islam, the tree of our religion, and this is a tree we cannot forget. We must remember, inshallah, after today, we can all memorize this tree of Islam. The final is Qiyamah. The Qiyamah is what? Day of judgment. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us all. What will He judge us for? Any ideas? Allah will judge us for the good, for the bad, for the deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if my deeds are good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward me highly. If my deeds are bad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then punish me, will then ask me why I committed bad deeds, why I did not commit good deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me 2 hands. Allah has given me eyes. Allah has given me a nose. Allah has given me 2 ears. Allah has given me a tongue. Am I using them to do good deeds, or am I using them to perform bad deeds? This is a question that you and I must ask ourselves every day before we do anything. Am I using my hands, my eyes, my ears, my tongue for the sake of Allah, or am I using it for my own sake, or am I using it to please shaitan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this to us as ni'mat, as blessings, and as Muslims we are told to perform good deeds. And in the akhlaq, inshallah, when we do the akhlaq session in this book, one of the first things that we as Muslims need to know is that Allah has given us all these things so that we perform good deeds. Not that we use this to perform bad deeds. Not that we use this to hurt someone. Not that I use my tongue to lie, or I use my hands to hurt someone. I use this only and only for the sake of Allah. As Muslims, we are encouraged to perform good deeds, because if a Muslim performs good deed, everyone will see and say, mashallah, Muslims behaving well in community. If I perform a bad deed, everyone will turn around and say, look, Muslims are behaving badly. And if I perform a bad deed and the people say Muslims are behaving badly, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can question me. Okay? So now, this is the roots of religion. There are 5 roots of religion. And this is something, inshallah, that we can try to memorize. And inshallah, we will go into further detail in this as we go in the book. Inshallah, if we go to the next page, the next page deals with the furu'id-din. These are the branches. Inshallah, I want to just 5 minutes before I move on. I want everyone to have a look here. The branches of religion. Now, the roots of religion, the roots of the tree are done. They are the most important fundamental Islamic principles that you and I must memorize. We must believe in them, and we cannot not believe in them. We must believe in them. Once we believe in them, now we move on to the furu'id-din. So inshallah, if you all look onto the furu'id-din as I speak, because then it makes it easier for you to remember. We have 10 furu'at. Furu' or far' means branch in the Arabic language. Al-far'. Well, furu' is the plural and far' is the singular. Our first far' or our first branch of our tree, the tree of Islam, is as-salah, prayer, namaz. And you can see this is the first. Number 1, if you all look at number 1, you can get the first branch of the tree is salah. We pray. How many times do you pray? We pray 5 times a day. Every Muslim must pray, man or woman, once they reach the age, for boys the age of 14, and for girls the age of 9. Once we reach that age, we must pray namaz, we must pray salah 5 times, inshallah. And inshallah, we'll go into the details of that as well in the future classes. Second, we must all fast. Why do we fast? And when do we fast? And how many days do we fast? We fast in the month of Ramadan. We fast in the month of Ramadan, and Ramadan is not long away at all. Inshallah, 5 to 6 days away. We fast for the complete month of Ramadan. 29 or 30 days. We fast. Why? Because it is the order of Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us. Because we want to show Allah our obedience. That we are obedient to Allah. That we listen to Allah. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us, we try to perform that. So the first that a Muslim must do is prayer. The second that a Muslim must do is that he must fast in the month of Ramadan. Thirdly, what is the third branch of the tree of Islam? As you can see on the book, the third is Al-Hajj, going to Mecca for pilgrimage, inshallah. When this is wajib, when inshallah you are all older and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with a lot of money, inshallah, you will then inshallah spend out of your money and you will go for Hajj. And when you go to Hajj, you go and you visit the house of Allah. It is the holiest site of Islam. Remember, the holiest site of Islam, the house of Allah, is the Kaaba in Mecca. And inshallah, we also visit Rasulullah in Medina. Okay, very quickly. Number 4, zakat. We give charity. Number 5 is khums, 1/5 of your savings. And then jihad. Jihad is to struggle in the way of Allah. To struggle in the way of Allah, to control yourself. Sometimes I want to be naughty. Sometimes I want to do something which is disliked by Allah. But jihad is that, no, I fight myself. I control myself. I say, no, I cannot do that. Because as a Muslim, I have been instructed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to perform good deeds. Allah will be happy if I perform good deeds, and Allah will be unhappy if I perform bad deeds. Number 7, Amr bil Maroof, that I guide others to do good deeds. I try to help other people. I try to tell them, brother, look, this is right, and brother, look, this is wrong. So I try to guide them. Number 8 is Nahi anil munkar, that I try to help my brother. This is bad. We do not do this. We stay away from such a deed. It's my duty. Allah says, I must help my brother. I must help my brother and my sister. It's not enough that I just help myself. If I know my brother is doing something wrong, I go to my brother, look, brother, or my friend or someone I know is doing something wrong. We say, no, this is wrong. We don't do this. In fact, we do this because this is right. This is liked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, number 9 and 10. Tawalla and tabarra. Tawalli, tabarri. Tawalla is loving Ahlul Bayt. Remember, first and foremost, we love Allah. Secondly, we love who? Rasulullah. And thirdly, who do we love? The third group of people we love are the family of the Holy Prophet. So you see, this is a hierarchy. This is a step by step. The first love is dedicated to Allah. Firstly, we must love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, we love Ahlul Bayt. We love Rasulullah, the Holy Prophet. And then we love the family of the Holy Prophet. So this is tawalla. And by loving them, we must also follow them. Not just we love them, but we don't follow them. If we love Ahlul Bayt, we will follow them. For example, if you love your mom and if you love your dad, you must also listen to them and what they say. It's not enough that I love them, but I don't listen to them. That means you don't love them. Or that means it means that you and I, we say we love them, but we don't listen to them. That means this is not true love. This is tawalla. And finally, tabarra is that we stay away from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. Anyone who is the enemy of Ahlul Bayt, anyone who is enemy of Rasulullah, of Imam Ali, of Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Bibi, Lady Fatima to Zahra, Salamullahi alayha. Enemies of Ahlul Bayt are our enemies. We dislike them, we hate them. Hating them, disliking them is tabarra. And this is very important. We must have this with tawalla. Tawalla and tabarra go hand in hand. They must go together. Having one and not the other is not enough. So this is the furu'at. These are the branches of the tree. And if you go to the next page, I'm not sure if you can still see, but inshallah, I hope you have the books at home. Then you'll be able to see the worksheet. Yes. So if you go to the next page, that's a worksheet. This is a worksheet, inshallah. This could be possibly your homework. You could look at this, and now that you have learned the principles and you have learned the branches, the usuluddin and furu'uddin, please try to, especially if you have the hard copy, the books at home, try to do them and write them into the boxes. You have 5 boxes underneath. These are the roots, and you have 10 boxes for 10 branches. 5 boxes, and then you have 10 above for the branches. And inshallah, you can show your parents for any correction. Inshallah, they will be able to help you on that. Finally, in the last 10 minutes, I want to just go over some of the vocabularies of fiqh. So if you go to the fiqh section of the book, and yes, the second part of the book, part 2, fiqh, Islamic law. I just want to have a quick brief look, inshallah, just to begin this, and then we'll end. The fiqh vocabulary, this is page number 2 on the part 2. So if everyone at home, if you have the book, please go to part 2, fiqh, and you will see on page 2 a title, fiqh vocabulary. Okay, what is fiqh? What comes to your mind when you hear the word fiqh or fiqh? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Fiqh, the first thing that comes to my mind is Islamic law. What is Islamic law? Islamic law is the do's and the don'ts, the halals and the harams, the rules and the regulations, the terms and the conditions. All of the terms and conditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put out for us. This is Islamic law. This is Islamic fiqh. This is Islamic sharia. So this is very important for us, because this is how we live our life. What we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. Because sometimes we go out, we see people are doing, especially in schools, we see that people are doing certain acts, certain things, and we say, should we be doing them or should we not be doing them? So we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for us certain regulations that we must follow. Okay, just quickly, the first, I think the book is loading. Yes, this is the page. Fiqh vocabulary. Inshallah, everyone can see this now because I can see it on my screen as well. If you can zoom in a bit. The first vocabulary that I want to introduce everyone to is wajib. Wajib, W-A-J-I-B, wajib. Wajib is the first vocabulary. It is the most important, and inshallah, you have all heard this many, many times. Wajib is that it is something which is a must on us. We must do it. It is incumbent, it is obligatory. We must do this. Wajib is something that we cannot stay away from it. In other words, if you say it like this, if I say it like this, wajib is something, remember this. Wajib is something that you and I must do, and wajib is something that if you and I, we don't do it, it is a sin. It is highly disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So wajib is something that we must do. It is an action which then gives you sawab. So if you go and look at the pictures here, this is an example. Wajib. First, if you see wajib, you do it, you get sawab. If you don't do it, it's a sin. Then examples of wajib. If you all look at the pictures, one of the most important wajibat in our life is that it is that we must pray 5 times a day. As you can see in the first picture, salah. Wajib. There is no other way around it. I must pray my salah, and no one can do it for me. I cannot say, oh, my brother will do it for me, my mother will do it for me, my dad will do it, or someone else. No. It is a wajib on me, on everyone. We must all pray. Once we reach our age, once girls are 9 and boys are 14, we must all pray namaz 5 times a day. In the same way, the second thing which is wajib is, for example, Hajj. When we can afford it, only when we can afford it. When we can afford it, we must go to Hajj for pilgrimage, to Mecca for pilgrimage. Khums is wajib as well, once we can afford it. But other examples are Ramadan. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is wajib. We must fast in the month of Ramadan. This is the first. Okay. Second terminology is mustahab. If everyone, inshallah, is looking, mustahab, remind yourselves this in the following manner. Mustahab is very close to wajib, but it is not wajib. So if I do it, I get sawab. Allah will reward me. But if I don't do it, Allah will not be angry. Allah will not punish me. It does not put a sin on me. So if you look at the diagram, if you do a mustahab, there is an arrow, it says you get rewarded. And then if you look at the second, if you do not do a mustahab act, there is an arrow, it says you don't get a sin. Examples. For example, visiting someone who is unwell. You know someone, your friend, someone from the Imam Barga, someone from the masjid, your friend from the Quran class, someone is unwell, he's not feeling well, or she's not feeling well, you should go and visit them, because the Holy Prophet Rasulullah, the Holy Prophet would always go and visit the sick. Whenever someone from amongst his friends, his disciples, his followers, someone from his ummah would be ill, he would go to their houses, he would visit them, he would take them food, he would take them drinks. So you can see that this is something, mustahab is highly, highly important that we try to do them. Number two, the second example is reciting of the Holy Quran. It is very, very important that we recite the Holy Quran as much as we can, especially now in Sha'ban, going into Ramadan. And the next vocabulary, if you go to the next page, is haram. Remind yourselves of wajib. What was wajib? Wajib is that we do, we must do, and if we don't do it, it is a sin. Just remember it this way. Haram is the total opposite of wajib. We must not do it. Wajib, we must do it. Haram, we must not do it. So we see, haram is the total opposite of that. It's the easiest way to remember. So if you look at the diagram, if you do haram, it equals to, you get a sin. If you do not do haram, you get rewarded. That is something to remember as well. For example, eating the here, examples are here actually. If you look down, there are examples. Eating the meat or the flesh of pork is haram. We don't eat pig. We don't eat pork. So when we don't eat it, we get sawab. Or for example, drinking alcohol is haram. We don't go near alcohol. We don't touch it. We don't go near it. We don't go near eating pork. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us for staying away. And finally, look at that one, telling lies. We must never tell lies. This is very important. Sometimes we're not careful. Sometimes we joke and we lie. Sometimes we just lie out of habit. Sometimes we lie so much we don't even realize that we are lying. So this is something that we are instructed to not do. We are instructed to not lie, because lying is a sin. Reading vocabulary. Makrooh, the next page, is makrooh. Okay, makrooh is one that we should try not to do it. So if you look at that, if you do a makrooh act, you don't get a sin. If you do not do a makrooh act, you get rewarded. So makrooh is something which comes under, which is above haram. So haram is you do not do it. If you do it, you get a sin. Makrooh is above haram. If you don't do it, you get rewarded. And if you do it, you don't get a sin. Let's look at examples. Examples of makrooh acts. Okay, eating too much is makrooh. It's not haram, but it's makrooh. And it can even lead to problems in oneself. Sleeping too much, for example. Sleeping too much is something which is makrooh. And finally, other acts of makrooh are when you need to use the bathroom, offering salah when you need to use the bathroom. For example, not going to the bathroom before doing your namaz. Finally, the last, inshallah, vocab before we end is mubah. Mubah is something that if you do a mubah act, you don't get a reward, and if you do not do a mubah act, you don't get a sin. So it's pretty much neutral. It's pretty much equal. Examples. Let me give some examples before I end. Eating. Eating is mubah. You can eat, you cannot eat. It doesn't make any difference to you. But one thing to remember here, or for example, drinking water, drinking juice, drinking apple juice, drinking orange juice, all of these things are mubah. They don't give you sawab, they don't get you a sin. If you do it, you don't get sawab. If you don't do it, you don't get a sin. But remember one thing, if by not eating, you are endangering your health, then you must eat. And not eating can be a sin. For example, playing sports. The other example is the football or basketball, tennis, or whatever you enjoy, or I don't know, if you enjoy playing games at home, if you play PlayStation, I don't know, you watch TV, cartoons, whatever you like to watch on TV, these things are mubah. Going out, playing, riding a bike, going in the field, these things are mubah. If you do it, no problem. If you don't do it, also no problem. So these are all our fiqh vocabularies done, inshallah. I think this is enough for today. So just remind yourselves that we learned today the roots, the usul ad-din and the furu ad-din, and then we learned the 5 vocabularies from the fiqh, which of course go hand in hand with our aqaid. Now, I think some people are messaging and asking for the link of the book. I'm not too sure what the link is, inshallah. If you go on the Majlis Ulama website, perhaps you can find the book there next time, inshallah, for next class, so that you can have the book, inshallah, in front of you, because sometimes it may not work. But some of yes, if I can request a Majlis Ulama a host to, inshallah, answer their questions. Some people are asking regarding the book. Inshallah, you can buy the book on the Majlis Ulama website. It's only £1, and inshallah, you can then keep it in front of you. If you have the hard copy, even better, because then you can write in it. So inshallah, I'll end with this. Thank you so much for listening. I hope, inshallah, this was a useful lesson, and I try to make it as easy as possible. I'll be teaching every Sunday, 6 p.m. inshallah, book 4. We'll continue from here, inshallah, in the next class. If there's any feedback, inshallah, do leave your feedback. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He keeps each and every one of you safe, inshallah, in this very difficult time. And inshallah, very, very soon, we will come out of this difficult time, inshallah, so that, inshallah, we can sit together and, inshallah, mu'mineen can visit one another. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi tayyibin at-tahirin salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.